One. Ladies and gentlemen, unlike your friends and coworkers, I'm actually wearing pants while I talk to you through this communication device. I'm telling you, while you're there on your Zoom meetings, nobody's wearing pants. I am. Don't forget that. Good afternoon and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Drago. Today on the show, we're going to talk about the NFL schedule, which was released this week. We got to talk about Frank Gore because he signed with a team, and you're going to laugh at which team it is. I laughed, and it's my team. It's, you know. And of course, we have to talk about the little boy who thought he could buy a Lamborghini for how many dollars? Stick with us, friends. Sports starts now. And welcome to the Sports Podcast with me, your host, Nick Drago. For those of you that are new to the show, usually we're talking about all the sports news and information from the previous week and giving you some insight on what we're going to talk about in the next week, month, year, whatever. We have no sports. There's no sports, but there's plenty of sports news. So, you know, the last few weeks it's been more relative to the news and less what's actually going on in these games. And it's been fine. You guys are still listening, right? Actually, I think my viewership is better than ever. People are like, you have no sports to watch. You might as well listen to this bozo talk about stuff for a while, right? Okay, so, how do I usually start these things? Oh yeah, if you like what you hear, find me on Soundcloud, YouTube, Twitter, and the Facebook. You could just type in Sports with Nick Drago. That's me. We're also on Spotify now. That's pretty cool. And all your other favorite podcasting apps, of course. Plus, you can email me directly, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Again, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Alright, how was your weekend? Was it good? Mine was boring. We didn't do much. My wife and I are on the house hunt, which means at some point in the near future, we may have a totally different background here, because I won't live in this apartment anymore. It's fine, you know, it's a nice apartment. You know, it looks good from your perspective, right? So yeah, we started the house hunt. That was fun, you know. Found a couple of places maybe we like, maybe not, who knows. Of course, we can't really see anything right now because, you know, the COVID is happening. But we're at least planting the seeds for when stuff opens up again. And according to Governor Wolf here in Pennsylvania, it could be another month. June 4th. That's what they're saying. June 4th is when we actually get to emerge from our cocoons of this life and return to some sense of normalcy. I don't know. That means I gotta wait another month for a haircut. My wife did fine the last time. I can survive with that. And I really don't go shopping at all, so it doesn't matter what else opens up. Alright, so, NFL schedule, right? Honestly, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna sit here and go through every single week and team and player and whatever. Go look it up for yourself. You know, it is what it is. I do like reading what ESPN thinks going to happen, or at least some of the other big writers. The two biggest surprises to me, because let's be real here, you know, we know that we know that the Chiefs are going to have a good season. We know that the Packers are going to have a good season. I was surprised. So one of them was that in the NFC South, you have the Saints at number 1, and then the Bucks right behind them. So the Saints were at 12-4, I think, were most predictions I saw, with the Bucks at 11-5. Again, I'm super excited to see Breeze and Brady in the same division. I also saw that a lot of people are thinking the Bills are going to go 12-4. That's what I saw, 12-4 for the Bills of Buffalo. We're going to go through all of this during our NFL season preview, which I usually do just before the season starts. Unfortunately, I don't know when that's going to be, so we got what we got right now. All right, I will talk about the Patriots. So sorry, I'm just moving my notes here over because it's behind the microphone. I don't think before I do these things. So the Patriots schedule conveniently does not match up with the Buccaneers schedule. So every week, let's say the Buccaneers are playing at 1 o'clock, Patriots are 430 or whatever it is. And that is true throughout the entire season up until week 15. That's right. There will be 3 weeks left in the season by the time the Bucs and the Patriots actually match up. And what I mean is they play at the same time, right? So why is that significant? First off, is it conspiracy? Did the NFL do this on purpose? I don't know. Nobody knows. The NFL, of course, is going to say no. Everyone's going to deny. But the truth of the matter is everybody in New England is going to want to watch what Tom Brady does with the Bucs, right? Now, some people might be grumpy, angry. I totally get that. I would be too. I wouldn't even give it patootie. But there are going to be tons of people who are actually going to want to see that. Especially Patriots fans who want to see what they've lost out on and what they now have in Jarrett Stidham. Still not sold on him. All right, moving on a little bit. Frank Gore. Frank Gore, by the way, is the third. I think he has the third most rushing yards in NFL history. He is a monster. 39, 38. Let's see. He is 37. He's going to be 37 in a few days, May 14th. 37 years old, signed with the New York Football Jets. Yup. That team right there on the wall, the one I complain about almost every week, has Frank Gore. Great, fantastic. Doesn't really mean much. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell's the guy. Gore is a great third down back at this point in his career, and he's a monster. You know he'll at least eat up yards. You know that he'll, get you over the line if you're, 3rd and 1, whatever it may be. It's actually a pretty good move. I think if they use him correctly, he'll tandem very well with Le'Veon Bell. But make no mistake here. We are talking about a 37-year-old running back. I'm not expecting gold from him. Speaking of older running backs, Marshawn Lynch coming out of retirement yet again. This time he's returning to the Seahawks. I know what I did. He was there last season. Didn't really do much for them. Only played a couple games. But he'll be back, and again, he's another guy who, the Seahawks didn't really find a suitable replacement for Marshawn Lynch. But what was his nickname? What am I forgetting here? Oh, this is going to drive me nuts. Let's see if it's in this this thing I pulled up. I don't know. He definitely had a nickname, right? Oh man, I am a mess. I am an absolute mess. All right, we got to look at Beast Mode. Beast Mode. That was it. I remembered. I don't forget things. Who said I forget things? Beast Mode returning to the Seattle Seahawks. So that could be fun, Brett Favre, of course, Brett Favre in hot water, apparently took $1.1 million in welfare money that he was supposed to be using for public service announcements, making speeches, showing up at events, and apparently he just didn't show up at these events. So this is in the state of Mississippi, by the way. And of course, the article I read, the original article, called him a New York Jets legend. Yeah, that was one legendary season he had there. No mention of the Packers, but New York Jets legend, Brett Favre. But realistically, Brett just took $1.1 million and ran away. Is probably a mistake somewhere in there. He's not that kind of guy. But certainly made for some interesting we have no football this week coverage stories. So, hey, I'll take what we can get. The XFL is filing for bankruptcy. There are hopes that some rich investor out there will try to buy them and make them something. According to the XFL, they actually would have earned money this year. I think they were expecting to make like $46 million in earnings, which when you look at a professional league, it's not much. If this actually did take off, they'd be doing pretty well and sitting pretty. But the XFL was doing much better than most. And realistically, if we didn't have this COVID crisis, the XFL would be back in full force next year. They would have finished their season. Vince McMahon would still be on top. But at this point, I don't know. I really hope somebody buys this thing. We've been dying for spring football. This was finally going to be our answer. And once again, it's yanked from under us way too prematurely. Love those Battle Hawks, right? I want more of that stuff. So, yeah, there goes the XFL. All right, NHL. Oh boy. Okay. So the NHL still has not figured out what their plan is. According to most insiders, they change it up every day. Some days they're going to come back to a season. Some days not. Some days they want to play in this stadium or that stadium and blah, blah, blah. So let's take all those rumors and we're going to push them deep down inside. Here's what we know. The season's coming back, right? It's most likely that they're going to go straight to a playoff format. It's the best way to protect people. It's less teams playing. It's less venues you have to worry about. The two most popular venues I've heard so far are Toronto and Seattle. Seattle has an empty stadium right now, and I guess they're trying to see if maybe, how the sport's going to go there. It is a brand new stadium. And, of course, Toronto has a gorgeous arena. So Toronto and Seattle are the two top places I've heard. I've also heard rumors of like the Barclays Center, which makes zero sense. I doubt that. You know what did I say? We're going to push those rumors deep down. Let's move beyond the rumors. Okay, here's what we know. So they're talking about two different playoff formats at the moment. One would be a 24-team playoff, and one would be your typical 16-team playoff. The most favorable option, I think, is just a 16-team playoff. It's again less teams you have to worry about. Why throw in all these extra teams? It's just going to be nuts. Of course, though, what does a 24-team playoff look like? First off, that's pretty badass, if you ask me. So what would it look like? Essentially, what I wanted to know is what teams would make it in, right? So if you were looking at just a 16-team playoff, you'd have the Bruins, the Lightning, and the Maple Leafs, of course. The Capitals, Flyers, Penguins, and then your two wild cards would be the Hurricanes and the Blue Jackets right now. In the West, you'd have the Blues, Avalanche, Stars, Jets, Predators. Jets and Predators would be your wild card teams. And then the Golden Knights, Oilers, and Flames. If there's any confusion about that, go check out my prediction video on who would be winning the Stanley Cup this year. That's right. We've already gone through part 1, 2, and 3. Not 4 yet. There's one part left. Haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, go check those out if you're interested in more about the teams that are in the playoffs and how they're doing and all that fun stuff. In a 24-team format, there's two ways they could really do this. They could do it based solely on points, right? In which case, most of the same teams make it in, but there's one that makes a difference. I'll explain. And that's for each division. Each conference. So for the East, in a 24-team playoff, if they went strictly by points, which is how they should do it, because better teams should get in versus not better teams, right? You have the Bruins, Lightning, Maple Leafs, Caps, Flyers, Pens, Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, right? Same teams as before. Plus, you'd get the Panthers, Canadians, Islanders, and Rangers would all be in. Now, the problem with this is that you have one extra team from the Atlantic and one less team from the one extra team from the Metropolitan and one less team from the Atlantic. So, your option there then would be, if you wanted to even them out, you'd put the Sabres in, because the Sabres would be that next team in the Atlantic. Why would they do this? Most likely because it just keeps your team divisions in one place. It doesn't really make much sense, and that's why I'm saying it doesn't really matter which one they do. But what should be is the better team gets in. The Rangers had more points. I know, I can't believe I'm defending the Rangers, but they had more points. They should be in over the Sabres. The same would go for the West. You'd have the Blues, Avalanche, Stars, Jets, Predators, Golden Knights, Oilers, Flames, and then the other teams would be the Wild, Canucks, and the Coyotes. And the Blackhawks, which, by the way, this is interesting. The Blackhawks are in dead last in their division, and yet they would still make it in if you went, again, solely by points. If you didn't, it would be the Ducks that would be replacing the Blackhawks. As weird as it is to have a dead last team still make the playoffs, the Blackhawks had a better season. It is what it is. These divisions are not even either. I mean, the Central has one less team than, I think the Central has one less team, and the Pacific has one extra team. So they're not perfect. It's not perfect, but that's what we would have. Honestly, though, yeah, it's great. You're trying to include all these other teams. You're going to get more fans watching, more advertisements, more games. So, it helps the NHL make more money. That's why a 24-team season makes sense. Obviously, there's a lot that needs to go into it, testing and whatnot. What I don't like about it, though, is some of these teams, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Canadiens, they have no business being in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They don't deserve to be there. But hey, I don't care. If it does happen, it's an easier opponent for the Penguins in the first round versus the Flyers. And maybe a better team gets knocked out by one of those, and then it's justified, right? Unlike basketball, where the top 1, 2, 3, 4 teams win every darn season, hockey, anything can happen. So, hey, if the Rangers go out and beat the Bruins in the first round of the playoffs, how insane would that be? What a story. Very unlikely. But I'll accept it. Look at me. I'm getting comfortable here. Still wearing pants. All right, I got a little carried away there, didn't I? Oh, yeah. Brandon Lipsick for the Washington Capitals. Oh, Brandon. He had been having a Twitter conversation with a friend. That friend's Twitter account was hacked. This is all private, by the way. Hacked, and a lot of screenshots were released of Brandon and his buddy poking fun at some other NHL players, their wives. So Brandon himself mentioned Tanner Pearson's wife, Megan, saying some very misogynistic and not so nice things about her, kind of nasty. I think he also talked about Connor McDavid's girlfriend. And then he also called his own line mates. He called them losers. Fucking losers. I can't believe that. First off, the Capitals did release him, as they should. And Brandon, I don't think you're going to get hired by an NHL team at this point, because what teammates are going to want to play with you? But you do know, the guy you were making fun of, Tanner Pearson, he is always going to have something over you, and that is a Stanley Cup, sir. Congratulations, Tanner. 1-1 with the Kings back in 2014. Anyway, moving on. MLB. Oh, yeah. Major League Baseball. Right now, the latest is they're coming back in July, but there's a lot of things that need to happen. They need to make sure that they can do testing quickly, thoroughly, accurately. They need to make sure that the players are safe. Players want to make sure they're being compensated and getting their full prorated salaries. There's a lot that needs to go out, and health really needs to be at the forefront of this. So the MLB Players Union is very powerful, and already teetering on the edge that they've been talking there could be a strike going into this year. So it would really stink if we lost this season and next season to a strike. So let's hope that doesn't happen. So MLB really needs to figure a lot of things out if they're going to make it work. I'd be okay with a July start. They actually did test their employees. They did the antibody test, which found that 0.7% of their employees, of all Major League Baseball employees, tested positive for COVID-19 antibodies, which means they at some point were exposed or had the virus. So 0.7 is actually pretty darn good. So, yeah. All right, moving on. MLB is actually shortening their draft this year from 40 rounds to just 5. First off, that stinks for all those athletes out there that are looking to get drafted, who were hoping maybe they'll find a place somewhere, but it kind of needs to be like this right now. I mean, Major League Baseball teams aren't looking to shell out tons of money on these young players. So 5 rounds, baseball drafts are a little weird because there's not much indication that this guy you're getting in the first round is ever going to be an MLB star. Unless you have like the first overall pick, they usually make it. But there's so many levels to baseball that it's quite hard to predict. So good luck to those teams drafting. Zion Williamson is accused of taking illegal benefits from Duke, Nike, and Adidas while he was playing at Duke. I mean, you know how it is. These poor college guys, trying to make a buck, trying to make some money before they go to the pros. So who knows what the extent of the tampering is, or how much money was exchanged, whatever it is. But Zion could be in some hot water due to it. the end of the day, I don't think it should affect him playing on the court because it didn't happen while he was on a team, but he may have to pay a hefty fine. Okay. I haven't done an athlete of the week in a while. Usually I like to highlight a certain athlete. More often than not, it turns out to be someone who is not an athlete, but in my eyes, everybody out there is an athlete. You're an athlete, and you're an athlete. Me, not so much, but you are. I'm an athlete at talking. I'm really good at that. All right, so this is actually a great story. So out in Utah, state trooper was on the road, saw a car driving somewhat erratically. Obviously decided to pull the car over. Car pulls to the left side of the road. First mistake right there, right? Car pulls over, and I think he was going 30 miles. Yeah, he was going 30 miles per hour on Interstate 15, swerving back and forth. The police officer walks up to talk to him. Turns out it's a 5-year-old boy driving. Yeah, didn't see that coming, right? The 5-year-old boy got into a fight with his mother because he wanted her to buy him a Lamborghini, which, as any sound mother would say, no. And so he decided he's going to take his life savings, all of $3, steal her car, and drive to California to buy himself a Lambo. Now listen, kid, that's all of our dreams. Everyone wants to go buy a Lambo for $3 in California. It's just not possible, buddy. I'm sorry. But kudos to him for getting as far as he did. I didn't even know how to drive a car till I was like yesterday. But no, for reals though, good for him. He was able to at least hit the brake and hit the pedal. He didn't hit anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. The police officer did have to show him how to park the car, which was kind of sad but cute, and hopefully he won't see any jail time over this. No, I'm sure they sent him home, give him a warm glass of milk, and explained why what he did was incredibly dangerous, or at least that's what a good parent would do. Not that I'm implying he is a bad parent, although, how did he get the keys and into the car? Just saying. I'm just saying. You guys ruminate over that one. All right, that's it for the show today. So special thanks, as usual, to Johanna Drago. She is the content editor, logo designer, and set designer of this podcast. And you might be thinking, how does a podcast have a set? Well, you can watch us on our YouTube channel, and then you'll actually see my face. That's right. There is an actual face with all these loud expressions coming at you. I'm not just a ominous voidless voice from the beyond. Is that a thing? That's a thing. I'm talking about it now. Special thanks, as usual, to our social media warriors, Mary Kay and Gary Albert. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mamas out there, including my own, my mother-in-law, my sister, grandmothers. Happy Mother's Day to all, and to all a good night. Where else do I go? Oh, yeah. The song you hear for the show is a song called Golden Sunrise by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in the show notes. I want to see how fast I can say that every week. Let's try it. Wait. Okay. The music here for the show is a song called Golden Sunrise by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in the show notes. I could do better, but let's save that for next week. All right, friends. Don't forget to find me on SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, and the Facebook. Just type in sports with Nick Drago. Yeah, that's me. You can find me on all your favorite podcasting apps, including now Spotify. And you can email me directly, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. With that, don't forget to like, share, comment, Twitter at me, tweet. You can also subscribe. That's a thing the kids do. Still don't have a TikTok yet. I don't even know what I do. Like, I do some crazy dances on my TikTok. All right, that's all the time I have for today, and not because I'm out of time. It's because I have nothing left to talk about, because there's no sports. Bring it back, people. Open it up, Governor Wolf. I want to get out there, play some ball, record it, and then send it to anybody who will watch, and that's what's going to be our sports forever. All right, I'm losing it. Super hyper. So let's just call it a day. Have a good night, everybody. Caw-caw!